If you've ever had this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the world that we live in, but you couldn't figure out just what it was, then you've come to the right place. Secret societies, mystery religions, and the Illuminati have been controlling our reality since the beginning of time. But not anymore, because there is an awakening happening, and you are about to become a part of it. Wake up, because this is a call for an uprising.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. I'm sure a lot of you heard about this already. I wasn't really sure if I wanted to do a video because I don't know even if it's that huge of a story, but about them accelerating Agenda 2030. I suppose it is a huge story, but they've already been accelerating it, and there's already been stuff that I've covered where they've talked about 2025 actually being the goal to get this in place. And for those who aren't familiar with Agenda 2030, I'll show you some of the stuff with Agenda 2030 and the UN and, of course, the World Economic Forum. They're all working together. They're going to bring about this digital age, this new industrial revolution that they're creating, as well as more control, right? Climate change isn't the only agenda tied into 2030. They love to put that ribbon around it so people just think it has something to do with science. It has to do with control. It has to do with control of speech, control of humanity, smart cities, and connecting you to technology. But let's start here. This is what was said in the last, I guess it was sometime last week, in regards to them expediting Agenda 2030.
Secretary General and Klaus Schwab, the founder of the World Economic Forum, will witness the signing of a memorandum of understanding on a strategic partnership between the UN and the World Economic Forum, which outlines areas of cooperation to deepen engagement between the two institutions and to jointly accelerate the implementation of the 2030 agenda.
So Agenda 2030 has been something long we've talked about. I believe it came on the table in 2013, 2015, around there. And it's something that they're trying to not hide anymore. They're not hiding it from the standpoint of, hey, we're actually doing it. What they're hiding is what it's really about. So they're going to tell you it's all sunshine and rainbows, because most of the stuff you'll find on Agenda 2030 is stuff I'm about to show you, where they're like, isn't it great? Isn't it wonderful? We're going to have equality. They use these trigger terms: love, no poverty. Meanwhile, they're creating poverty. They're creating food, starvation. And that's why you see everything going on the way it is right now. It's so that they can come in and take more control over the world, over the citizens of the world. And they're going to look like they're the big brother that's here to help and love and care for you and protect you. When in reality, poverty, food shortages, all the problems, all the inequality is all stuff that they pump through the media to make you think that it's a world of hate and inequality and all this stuff, when in reality, it is not that way. It is what they create and show. They create these events. The CIA creates them. They infiltrate events that naturally occur. They're constantly involved and up everybody's rear end and pushing this stuff onto everyone to ignite chaos, to ignite hatred, and to convince you that the world is a horrible place, but they're going to make it a better one, when in reality, that's just so that they can have control. So here's Agenda 2030, and I'm going to play a clip too from Billy talking about it in 2013, about what's really good about Agenda 20, what do we want to see in Agenda 2030? And I let him know in his comment section as well recently what I wanted to see. So take a look.
A report card tells you how well you're doing, what subjects you're mastering, and what subjects you may need to work harder on. The world also has a report card, which is called the Millennium Development Goals. They grade us on how we're helping the poorest in the world. Overall, our marks are quite positive. If you think about a child born today versus one back in 2000, things have gotten a lot better. Many fewer children are dying. Many fewer families are living in extreme poverty. A lot more kids are going to school. But we still have a lot of work to do. We need to pick a new set of goals to help us stay focused on improving the lives of children. Next year, the world will discuss what that next set of goals should be. It's a huge opportunity to pick the priorities for 2015 to 2030. I'm interested in what you think our priorities for the poor should be for this 15-year period. Send us your thoughts. I look forward to seeing them.
In September 2015, all 193 UN member states adopted the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. They recognize that ending poverty calls for transforming our world through strategies that build economic growth, address social needs, and ensure environmental protection. To achieve this vision, 17 Sustainable Development Goals, known as SDGs, were defined as part of the 2030 Agenda. The SDGs and their targets balance the three dimensions of sustainable development: economic, social, and environmental, working in partnerships and calling for action by all countries. The goals are integrated and indivisible. To capture the broad scope of the SDGs, 5 core principles have been included in the 2030 Agenda. The 5 Ps: people, planet, prosperity, peace, and partnership. They underline the importance of eradicating poverty and hunger in all its forms, offering prosperity for all, and ensuring the protection of the planet and its natural resources. They emphasize a world where peace and human rights are realized for everyone, and where all countries and stakeholders act in collaborative partnerships to achieve sustainable development. These core principles also define the political priorities of the Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development, the BMZ, when collaborating with its partner countries. The Ministry calls for Germany to fulfill its global responsibility, advocates leaving no one behind, and promotes approaches balancing the 3 dimensions of sustainable development. An example of how this can be done is the successful Partnership for Sustainable Textiles, initiated by the BMZ in 2014. Entering the partnership, businesses, politics, and civil society commit to improving working and environmental conditions in countries where textiles and clothing are produced. That means that human rights and social and environmental standards must be met along the entire textile supply chain. Through its support, the BMZ ensures that our clothing is produced under conditions which are fair for people and nature. Today, the partnership already accounts for 50% of revenues achieved by the German textile industry, and the aim is to reach 75% by the end of 2018. Everyone can make a difference and contribute to transforming our world in line with the 2030 Agenda. For example, through conscious purchase decisions. We can choose organically grown and fairly traded products and should only buy the amount we actually need. In such an easy way, we can contribute to sustainable development every day. In many areas, our personal decisions have impacts on nature and people around the world. We therefore need to start taking our responsibilities seriously and adjusting our actions accordingly.
So you can see what I told Bill. I mean, hopefully he checks it out. I don't know. I'm shocked that he actually has the comments open. Isn't that shocking? That Bill is the comment section open? I know. It's pretty shocking. Because most of these people, they disable comments because they don't, not because they care about what me and you say, because they don't want other people to be influenced by what me and you say. Because if they see all the thumbs downs, people will be like, yeah, how come everybody's against this? Boy, they seem really unpopular. They want you to think they're the cool kids, the smart kids. They're the dorks, the dweebs, the losers, the spazoids, the satanic filth. That's what they are. So they're trying to accelerate this. It's not a shock that they're admitting to trying to accelerate it, because we already saw this. We already see it in full effect right now. One of the things that you won't see them talking about, but you'll see other videos I can't play here, is them talking about Agenda 2030 and mass inox into people. Yeah. And this is pre the outbreak. And they want to talk about how everybody needs to have magic potions. I mean, it's pretty insane if people don't connect the dots of how they wanted everybody to have potions in them pre an outbreak. Then they have an outbreak, and now they've convinced all these people with this psychological operation about science versus non-science and misinformation. And then they roll out the stuff with Roe and Wade about my body, my choice. And of course, they know people are so stupid they won't correlate the two. They'll just go, well, it's different because, if I decide to have sex and, I want to kill the baby, that should be my choice. But when you shouldn't have sex, right? Or maybe you should have used contraceptive or something. Oh, okay. But then for us who don't want to put poison into our bodies, We don't have a choice because we're being selfish, and they're not. I mean, the insanity of how people think, ladies and gentlemen, is unbelievable. But anyway, you all know this. But Agenda 2030 being accelerated shouldn't shock anyone. Now, I know, and I've covered before, is that 2025 was part of their plan, getting this in place by 2025, they've recently talked about. And you can even see on the UN's website, new plan to accelerate clean energy access for millions globally. People hear this stuff and they don't understand what they're really talking about. They're really talking about is control, clean energy control, electric cars. They can control obviously how far you could go. They can control the grid. They have control pretty much over everything anyway. But I mean, this is total control. And this also has to do with transhumanism and technology. Why do you think you see President Biden, as if he is really a president or was elected. But anyway, you see him talking about internet and how they want internet access. Like, this is a main issue right now where people can't even get baby formula. They're talking about how they want everyone to have free internet all over the world and all over America at least. And that's one of the main agendas. They're like, the internet's so expensive. It's like $30. And they're like, everyone needs to have it. It needs to be free. Well, why do you think? If the government's coming out and wants to give you something for free, you should be skeptical. Well, they want to give you free internet. Oh, is AT&T to Verizon, do these companies have a problem with that? Because, they make a lot of money. Oh, no, they're in on it too. Everybody just wants to give you that for free, and they want to give you magic potions for free. And there's a real correlation between the two if you think about it, right? For those of us who get what's going on in those towers and the potion. Anyway, we have Biden talking about, getting the internet and all that stuff for free. So these are all things that tie into this. And then they tell you it's about climate change and global warming and, a clean energy. And these people don't even know what they're saying. And they just go, that sounds good because, our grandkids are going to be affected and our future, us youth, are going to be affected by it. You're affected by it already, and you're going to be affected by it because they're creating it. They're the ones who are creating the problems. They're the ones who are creating the chaos. And they're the ones who are making spazoids that call themselves liberals. So the UN Energy Plan of Action towards 2025 delivers on commitments made at high-level meetings in September and laid out a global roadmap for energy access and transition by the end of the decade, while also contributing to net zero emissions by 2050. If we're here in 2050, the UN Energy Partnership brings together some 30 organizations working on all aspects of energy and sustainable development. Now, the key thing with the UN and that thing I played earlier with them talking about accelerating this is the tie-in with the World Economic Forum. See, people don't care, and they're just like, I don't know. I don't even know what these things are. The fact that the UN, same thing anyway, but connected to the World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab, pretty unbelievable that they're out in the open even talking about this. And they're meeting at the end of this month, which I'll obviously cover here on YouTube and on the website. They are meeting at the end of this month, and I guarantee you the narrative that comes out of it is accelerating it. They're going to push for more warn everyone of more food shortages and supply chain stuff. Blame it on Russia. Their blame game doesn't seem to be working the way that they hoped. So they're just trying to blame everything possible. So Russia, the outbreak, they're obviously going to bring the outbreak back. We already know they're mentioning it because it's about time people get their next appointment set up so they can get their next dose. These are all things that are going to come out of Davos at the end of this month, which I'll cover. But they are accelerating the agenda. It isn't a surprise. I know people are like, can you believe they're well, no, because the end game is supposed to be 2030. So if they want the end game moved up to 2025, they're obviously going to have to try harder. But it's not like, well, it's happening at 2030. It's happening right now. It already has begun. They want it to be fully in place, the New World Order, by 2030. And maybe they will get it in there before that. Look how a lot of people are complying to it, but there's just as many people resisting it. So I wanted to cover that for you. I hope everyone out there is doing well. I have a video up on the website that you need to check out if you haven't checked it out about what they want to do with supplements. This is completely everything to do with you being able to detox your body of soft metals and take things that can combat radiation poisoning. And all the stuff that's going on, they want the FDA to have to approve any supplements that are sold, and they will just disapprove anything that's actually beneficial for you. That's up on the website, so check it out if you haven't checked it out. I hope to see everybody over there. I want to thank you guys for your support. I hope you're doing well. God bless you and your families.